Hey friends, it's Laura with Laura B. Flosstube. Thought I'd post a quick video on getting prepared for our upcoming Bloom quilt along. I'm so excited so many of you are joining me. It should be a lot of fun. So if you haven't made the quilt before but you want to make it again, that's great. I am so excited for you. I would love to see both versions of your quilt, the original and the revised one if you're doing another. And I love that so many of you have mentioned that you have kits from back then and you have the fabrics. So you are like totally prepared. I am so excited that so many of you are joining in. So I just had a few reminders for everyone and a few little just like tips and tricks to get everything going. So if you haven't watched my videos up until this point, make sure you check those out because I go through all of the prep stuff that I do to get ready for a quilt along. So everything from tracing the So Simple shapes to cutting your backgrounds to cutting your borders, everything is there. So make sure you check those out and I'll link the playlist at the end of this video so you have really easy, quick access to that. So if you are posting pictures of your progress on social media, I would love it if you would choose to use the hashtag. So the hashtag that I'm going to be using is bloomqal 2023. Now I do know that our quilt along will go through 2024, but just for a little while, not that long. So let's go ahead and use bloomqal 2023. So I'll be following that on Instagram and Facebook, and I think you can even use it on your YouTube videos if you are brave enough to post a video of your progress. I'd love to see it. So I thought I would go and do a quick rundown of just some dates and things like that. So here is our quilt along schedule. And as I mentioned, it starts this weekend. Exciting, exciting. So November 5th, 2023. If you haven't cut your shapes and borders and all of that good stuff, then this next week is just for that. I went ahead and posted my videos early and did my stuff early just so I could give you guys some tips and techniques. But this next week coming up is definitely when we should be prepared. So I'm going to do like a quick recap too of what I've done. So like I said, this next week is all be prepared. I do have my sew along guide printed. Now remember, my printer only prints in black and white, but my sew along guide is printed and I did use this for my cutting. So this was super, super helpful. And it also lists all the blocks that we'll be making. So that will be definitely a reference that we have as we go through as well. Now don't forget to use Lori's blog because she has a blog post for every single block for this quilt along. So make sure you're following her blog and go way back to the Bloom quilt along that she did in 2016. I'll try to do an update video every week with my blocks and my progress, and I'll link the video not only for that week but the next week too. So you'll have the videos links in my videos in the description box for the blog posts that you need for the blocks that are upcoming. Now, I mentioned that I cut my borders. I did not cut my very, very, very outer border. And that's just because I'm not really sure what fabric I want to use. So I have, I think, 3 or 4 different choices of fabric that I could use for my outside border. But until I get my quilt top center together, I don't want to choose my outside border yet. And I don't want to choose my binding yet either because that could be changed based upon what I choose for that outside border. So if you're in the same boat, just know that we'll be cutting our borders a little ways down the line. Alrighty, so I think that is all for the sew along guide. So obviously we'll be using that for reference, just for how our blocks go together, including her blog post from 2016 to show us if you're like really want precision, you'll want to follow her blog post and that way you'll get your exact measurements because she uses a ruler and one of her trim up rulers. So you can see exactly where everything is placed. If you're more of an eyeball girl like me, then you could probably get away with just using the cutting guide for the Bloom's quilt. All right, so I did leave my Bloom shapes out, and this is my little project bucket. It's a 12, I think it's actually 13 by 13. It's actually a scrapbook paper organizer, but these work great to store my projects in. Let me hold this up. They work great to store your quilt projects in. So this is what I have my quilt for the Bloom quilt along in. All my pieces, all my bags. So I do have the bloom shapes in there just in case I messed up somewhere. And that way there's quick, easy access to get some interfacing and just do my tracing and be good to go. Now the other thing with that is if we do run into a block that maybe I need a little more precise alignment of my fabric, all those templates have those lines on them. Well, I didn't draw those lines when I traced my shapes, but I have them right here just in case I need them. Another thing that you're gonna find in my project tote is 20 bags, one for every block. So in each bag, I have the background fabric, all of the shape fabrics, and those interfacing pieces. Everything's cut out and ready to go. I have all of those for 1 through 20. So we have 20 flower blocks to make for the Bloom Quilt Along. All right, and then the final bag that I have in my project keeper is my borders bag. Now, as we go along, I'll be, adding these on to the blocks just as it says in the cutting guide. And then I'll also start assembling of those at that second row of those border blocks as I have time. So that's what's in my project tote for the Bloom Quilt Along. And then I guess the only other thing I would mention is all of my scrap fabrics that I had set out to cut up for this quilt. I have put them all back into their respective little hiding place, and they're just hanging out there just in case I need them. But I'm pretty confident that I have everything cut for it. All right, so other than that, that's pretty much all I'm doing at this point to prepare. I'm just anxiously waiting for November 12th to arrive, and we'll start sewing block 1 and 2. I may sew my blocks early, which I probably will. I'll probably be sewing a week ahead of you guys, so that way I can post my videos and share the final block placement and share any tips and tricks that I have that you may want to watch when you're doing your blocks. Like I said, if you're posting on social media, make sure you use that hashtag bloomqal2023. I would love it if you tagged me if you're on Instagram. Send me a message, however you want to do that. I would love to see your blocks as you complete them. And I cannot wait for all of our quilts to be together so we can show those off. Now, I'm hoping that I'll be reaching out to some of you as our quilt tops get assembled so I can share your blocks in some of my upcoming videos. I would love to do that. If you have some blocks that you would like me to share, I'd be happy to receive those pictures on Instagram in messages, or you can find my email on my main channel link right here on YouTube. So that is all I have for today. Not too much exciting things going on, except that we are definitely gearing up for our Bloom Quilt Along. Thank you again so much for watching, for subscribing and liking. Thanks for sharing out the videos on social media. I've definitely seen an influx in subscribers, so I know that you guys are talking about the Quilt Along. I'm very excited so many of you are joining me, and I hope you have a very wonderful and safe week. Until next time, happy stitching.